I wanted to show you guys how I go about making offset stickers. And we're just going to go ahead and try these bee stickers. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for. This is a PNG file, as well as this. This one's a little bit bigger, so we'll go ahead and I'm going to just drag and drop it. So I'm just going to hold down with my cursor and drop it directly onto the custom cut software. And then once I have that put in here, what we're going to do is we're going to pick this up just a wee bit, and we're going to come over here and we're going to go ahead and just resize this. We're going to just take out the 8 and put a 2, and then we're going to grab this down to where we can see it. We're going to come up here to the trace button. We're going to hit trace, and then you can kind of see how it goes against all of the edges, which looks really good. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. Looks very nice on that. Now we're going to come up here to where it shows path, and then we're going to come down to where it shows offset path, and we're going to go ahead and come over here. Now some of my graphics I would do at 0.08, and some of them I would do at 0.085. I'm going to try this one at the 5, and I hit enter here. And just see how much of this is what I'm looking for. It's in between it. How much of that may need to be cleaned up and how far away it is. Let's take a look, because that's the 0.085. And we're going to go ahead. Let me just see what that was at here. What I'm looking at here is just the edge of it. And I kind of like how this one looks. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now that is how it's going to cut. Now to zoom in on here, you come over here to the left side and you hit the zoom in button. Okay, and you can do it one more time. Then you come up here to the arrow. That's going to go ahead and take you off the zoom. Now these two are not grouped together. So when they're not grouped together, we're going to go ahead and just pick up the first one here, and we're going to move it to the left. And then we're going to go ahead. So now that we have dragged it over, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the red over here on the layers, not in here, but when you click over here on the right side of the screen underneath where it shows trace selection, we're going to actually now come to the graphic. You're going to right arrow click, or right click on your mouse. You're going to come up to where it says break apart, and this is where you're actually going to grab the pieces here and hit delete. Sometimes you can grab the outer edge and drag it away. Sometimes you can't. This one, it looked really good, so let's go ahead and grab all of these. All I did was drag it across with my mouse. We're going to hit delete. Now we're going to go ahead and grab this trace section back, put it in the middle of the screen, and then we're going to grab the B section, and we're going to just drag it right on top, and we're going to just lower that down just a wee bit. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky in the custom cut software. It doesn't always line up directly. And as you can tell, I'm having a little bit of a struggle. It just doesn't like to line that up. So we're going to come over to the right side where these arrows are, and we're actually going to manually line it up this way. Now, I have had a little bit of technical difficulty. Sometimes I have tried to do this, and then I go directly to the print. And sometimes when I print it, the actual print is off a little bit. And I've kind of noticed it typically is towards some of these that I've manually moved. So what I typically would now do is I'll actually save it, close out of the program, open the program back up, and actually go in. Now, one thing I am noticing on here while I'm talking to you folks that I don't like is this area right here. If you notice, it's really a really deep inside cut to where it looks like it's going to double cut right here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just a wee bit. And all I'm doing is clicking right on it. And see this here? This is just not, it's not too cool for me. So hit the arrow button again. We're going to just move this off again like this. Now what we're going to do is you're going to double click on the trace. And then you're going to come up here to where it shows a little button, the shape tool, and hit that once. And then this is where it gets a little bit tricky. This is not like Silhouette Studios. Keep it in mind, okay? This is a one-step, two-step type of thing, not just one step you can keep on going, but you actually have to do this very slowly. So what I'm going to do is, as you can see, the blue means those are going to be deleted. So I'm going to go ahead and click delete. That looked good. Now if you hit delete again on your keyboard, all of those blues all around the trace image is going to be deleted, so we don't want to do that. So hitting the blue is not actually going to mark it. You actually have to hit the right round dot. So you hit that one. I want to hit the delete button, and it deletes it. Now this here, you can grab this and you can move it just a little bit. It's not the same as in Silhouette. So as you can tell, it's just open it up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. I'm going to click off of the image. I'm going to click back on my little arrow. And then I'm going to come right down here to where it shows a plus, and I'm going to go to the minus side, so that way we can zoom out a little bit. Let's just drag that down to about 100 degrees. Almost there. All right, 130 looks good. I'm going to come back over to the arrow, click on that. Now I'm going to go back to my B design and just slide that directly over. See if it will come down. Again, it's going to go ahead and be a little troublesome. So we're going to come over here to the right side, and again, we're going to just manually bring it over. Let's drop it down a little bit. Let's bring it up just a wee bit, bring it over a little bit. So that way it looks between the honey down here is what I'm looking at, and just making sure on all the edges it's really good looking. Now, as you can tell, this looks a lot better. This one I'm okay with because that's not like that looks really good. I like how it forms to the wings. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. I'm going to click off of it. That looks pretty good. Now, one thing to keep in mind, now you need to group these. So come over to the right side on the layer side of things. You're going to click on the trace section, hold down your shift button, and hit the design. And then you're going to go ahead and come over here in the middle of the design. You're going to right click, and then you're going to hit group. So yes, in some ways it's got a little bit of the similarity of Silhouette Studios if you're familiar with that program. But in a lot of ways, it's got a lot of Photoshop kind of in here. But it's kind of a lot more temperamental, at least in my opinion, on both those programs. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just move this image. And I'm going to scroll up just a little bit just to see where I'm sitting at. And you do want to make sure that the image is, I don't know why the red box is actually over the trace box like that. It's probably because the trace box is the one that I'm trying to make sure. I don't know why it's doing that. It's kind of weird, but okay. So what I'm looking at here is, I don't know if you can see the green box, the green outline compared to the actual red box. So I'm going to come up here to the preview button, and I'm just going to see where the cut line is. Now that's where it's going to cut, and then I'm going to hit the actual print button, and I'm going to take off the cut lines just to kind of make sure that they're not overlapping. Everything looks really good on that, so we're going to hit done. Here we're going to manually just drag the whole thing to the side. Now, the actual Uninet is kind of particular on this, so if you have this design too far over to the edge or too close to it, it's going to throw a fit when you go to print on it. All right, and then over here, we're going to go ahead and select the actual size you want. Now, I want these to be 2 inch exactly, so I'm just going to make this one 2 inches exactly. Now, one thing to keep in mind, so you don't make the whole design disproportionate, is making sure that this first box is kept clipped. Now, this one says keep proportions. I should have said this earlier before we actually did the designing of it. You definitely want to make sure that this is checked. It normally always is. I haven't seen it yet not checked, but I've gone ahead and clicked off of the numbers. Now we've got it at 200, the bottom one. Normally you want to do it to the highest number one. I did a mistake on that one, so I apologize. So there we go. So we're not going to change this to where it's both 2 inches and 2 inches because that will make it disproportionate. But we've got 2 inches on the height and then 1.843 on the width. So this one is ready for the print. If we want to go ahead and make 2 of these, we're going to just right click on it, hit copy, and then right click over here in the field and just hit paste. And that's going to go ahead and grab another one of those. And now this program is a little bit temperamental. It does not really like to cut too close to the edges. And plus, depending on how you sell the images, I always recommend to at least have a straight edge. It just looks better. So I like to do it something like this. And you can kind of see in the middle how it's going to have a little bit, probably about a good 1/4 of an inch in between the 2 designs. So I'm going to leave it pretty much like that because I feel like that's just too much. Well, you got to keep in mind this gray is actually printed white. Well, it's not really printed. It's part of the label because the label is actually 4.75. So it does have quite a bit of thickness on the sides. So you don't really get to utilize that. And I have tried to put this up close. You've got to be careful because that Uninet printer gets kind of finicky and it doesn't like to always print sometimes. So just kind of keep in mind, keeping it within the edges of the design. And then you can make more designs down here. You can just pretty much do exactly what I've shown you and just keep it going. Now, what I also like to do now is come up here to File, go to Save Project As, and then I'm going to go ahead and name this one B. And then we're going to go ahead and save it. And now we're going to go ahead and come up here to where it shows print, and we're going to go ahead and print it. Alright, and this baby is printing. As you can tell with the blue line, that means it's cutting. Blue light line. And that was like so fast I almost couldn't even get the camera turned on. But look at that. And if you notice, see here, rub with my other hand, get some light on those edges. That's what we're looking for here, is on that offset. Let's see if I zoom out a little bit. There we go. If you notice underneath the O where the honey is dripping, that looks amazing. And then all the way around the H, the S, going up to the little bumblebee, above the B. It is a very nice cut, as well as the little white outlining is spot on. That is absolutely amazing. Very fast, very quick. So yeah, that's how I go ahead and put an offset on my stickers. Now what I normally do with these is these I use as either freebie stickers or I sell them individually. But ideally I'll actually use my small cutter, which is going to be right over here. And what I normally do is I take these and I will line it up in here and try to just make sure it's not cutting off the edge. That's why when I showed you in the program to kind of make sure there's a bit of a space, you know, that way when you go to do a straight edge cut, it's not going to be all zigzagged. And so for me, what I do is I normally just use this and I'll go ahead and close that right there. And as you can see on my cut, I just try to make sure that it's not in here. Let me see if I can do this one-handed here. Oh, that went pretty good. Alright, and as you can tell, I did it fairly good. It's right up on the edge a little bit closer. It's a little bit hard to hold the camera and do this at the same time. But ideally, I made 2 of these here, and this is for my last cut that I did. And as you can tell, all I do is I use this to cut them in half, and then I do have a round corner punch that I use. So what I then do is once I've gone ahead and gotten them cut is I just stick it in one of these. Now when you're using the smaller stickers like this, you typically have to use the rounder edge, only because it does not cut. Now this one I won't round the edge because I would need to trim a little bit off that. I try to make it look a little bit closer to the edge on the stickers, just so they can look more uniformed. As you can tell on this here, and this is perfectly cut. I mean, it's got just a little bit of white edge, and but yeah, that's pretty much my process on getting the stickers done and getting an offset put on there. I hope that helped. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. And again, like and subscribe to watch more of my videos. Thank you so much.